Hey guys, welcome. Today's yin flow practice is going to explore oppositional energies. So we'll start with some yin, particularly in poses that tend to be a little more cooling and grounding, really the yin of yin. And then as we move into some more dynamic movement, we'll work with some back bends, those places that tend to be a little bit more heating and uplifting in the yang. So we'll go from one to the other. I think this can be a great practice in the morning when you're starting to ease into the day. Also, might be really nice, for example, on a day where your energy is kind of low. You want to meet yourself where you're at, but then move into that place that's going to bring you about a little bit more dynamic energy and go from there. That being said, you can use it whenever it sounds like a good practice, but just some examples of what it might be helpful for. Gather some props or some pillows, have those nearby, and we'll start lying down on our backs. And go ahead to start with knees bent, feet to your mat. You can let your knees rest together if that feels good. Arms by your sides. Close your eyes. Take a couple fuller breaths. Just let your body arrive and start to settle in. And just notice where your energy's at to begin, right? Not in that woo-woo energy way, although that's kind of fun and you can do that too. But really just more like, are you feeling tired, lethargic? Maybe you're feeling really energized already and you want to ground down through the yin portion. Maybe you're feeling a little anxious or nervous, right? What's your starting point for the practice? And don't feel the need like you have to change anything right off the bat. We're just bringing attention to it. Right? Sometimes we have all of this just kind of bubbling under the surface, but we don't pause, take time to notice, right? What's going on, what that is, to really put a name to it. And so just let your attention notice that, and then let it go. Let it be whatever it is. And then just let your attention start to come now back to your breath. And see if you can just find a place that feels steady, that feels comfortable and full. And let that attention to breath just be a place to begin to rest thoughts and mind so you can give it an anchor point for the practice. And take just a couple more breaths like that. Good. And then when you're ready, you can bring your right knee in, stretch your left leg long. And then just simple supine twist here, bring your right knee across to the left. You could use a block underneath your knee if you want a little bit more height, especially if it doesn't feel like it comfortably comes down to the ground, or a pillow, bolster, whatever you've got there. You can let your right arm rest out to the side. Sometimes it even feels nice and grounding to have your left hand to your outer right thigh, right? But do whatever feels right. The nice part about yin is we're really thinking less about what the pose looks like and what it feels like. So go ahead, close your eyes or just let your eyes get soft here. Start to bring your attention back to your breath. And just start to notice what it feels like to focus on that, on the sensation of your breath, instead of the thoughts that might be whirling around in your mind. Right? It's a simple concept. Doesn't mean easy, simple. So just shift the attention. Right? Our mind likes something to focus on. So just choose to let it be your breath instead of thoughts. Right? Again, that doesn't mean it's easy. And I often find throughout the practice I'm doing that over and over and over, right? As I notice thoughts come in, I realize I'm paying attention to that, and then just bring it back to breath. In these last few moments in the pose, see if you can start to settle and soften the weight of your body a little more. And so when we think about yin, we think about soft and gentle, right? There's no effort, there's just ease. There might be sensation, but there's not effort. We can feel what's happening without resisting against it. Let's just take a few more breaths like this. Right, we might not hold quite as long, like those 5-minute holds we would in a full yin practice. And spending a little time in each one. And just move slowly as you're ready. Come on back to center. You can bring both knees into your chest and just take a little rock side to side. Go slowly, right? From those long holds, it's just nice not to jar the body, but keep it in that quieter movement space. Okay, and then we'll switch sides from here. So bring your left knee and right leg long. If you are using some support for the twist and you like that, you can bring it over to your right side. And then as you're ready, left knee over to your right. Left arm out to the side. Bring your right hand to your outer left thigh if that's comfortable. And just really let the weight of your head and shoulders drop back as you settle in. Right, take a moment to notice the sensation in the pose. We said, well, there's ease. There's probably likely some sensation too. Things are happening. I just want to make sure it's at a place that feels effective, but also soft. Right? You're not clenching or gripping against the pose, against the sensation. It feels like a place where you can stay and breathe with it. And then from that sensation, can you let your attention come back to your breath? And so that as we start to create a little quieter space in the body, these longer holds that we're beginning with, then you're also starting to create that space with your mind. And sometimes that means just a breath or two between thoughts. And that we're trying to slow that process down a little bit. It can sometimes be interesting to notice what happens to thoughts when we ask the body to get quiet. When we take away that focus point, at least within the practice of moving pose to pose, and how our minds respond to that might be a little different day to day. Okay, just take a few more breaths for this side. And as you're ready, again, inhale, come on back to center, bring both knees into your chest again, and just take that little rock side to side. If it feels good to make circles with your knees or hips, you're welcome to do that. Whatever feels good in your body, again, just keep it a little gentler. And then we're going to come up to sitting. So you can either roll to your side and press up, or just take a gentle rock forward. come up to a seat. And just have your stack of props nearby. We're going to set up for a simple forward fold. Again, simple doesn't always mean easy. So if you know that your hamstrings are a little more resistant, something like blocks or a towel roll or a pillow underneath your knees is probably going to ease that sensation a little bit. Okay, if you feel like you're comfortable here with legs down, that's great. And then just take a moment to find a little length in your spine. Doesn't have to be a ton of effort, just so it feels like long enough. And then you're going to hinge and fold forward from there, right? So depending on what you have for support, you might stack a couple of blocks. If you have a bolster and you can use that tall end of the bolster, that's great. Sometimes a couple of pillows stacked up in your lap feels good. Somewhere it feels like you can come forward and rest your head. Right. However, some days, especially if hamstrings and low back are feeling a little less flexible, and you've got that support under your knees, you might stay upright. That might feel like the right amount of sensation. Right? There's no right way to do the pose. It's just finding the place that feels effective in your body. And once you get all set up, just let things start to settle into the pose. I sometimes here even like to have my feet a little bit wider, maybe, 6-8 inches apart, just so there's no work to hold them together. You can play with where is that right place for you. And again, you can close your eyes or just let your gaze get heavy. Check in with the amount of sensation. Right? There's no need to force it. We spend a little time here so that the body can open slowly. And I think that is a big concept of kind of this yin mentality, is that there's no effort. And really just allowing the space to happen instead of making that happen. If you're used to a really active practice, that can feel really different. If you're used to just active life, which we tend to have, we're not used to intentionally carving out the quiet places. We're used to getting things done, the heat, the fire, the going. Right? That's very yang. Right? That dynamic side, heating side. It's not bad. We just often spend more time there than we spend in rest. And so how do we find a little bit more balance between the two? And to notice when our bodies need a little bit more rest, to meet them where they're at. Right? Because then often after that, we have the energy to start to move again from just little snippets of rest throughout the day. And check in with where your breath and your attention is. And then just take a few more breaths here. And when you're ready, just slowly come on back up. And you can set your props off to the side. Have yourself up by the front of your mat. And then you can just open up, cross your legs at your ankles. And we're going to roll back to down dog just as a transition here. But it might feel good when you get to down dog just to pedal one knee and then the other so you get a little release through the low back and the hamstrings, that place that we were just getting at with the forward fold. And then when you're ready from here, bring your right knee behind your right wrist. Right, swan pose in yin, pigeon pose. Right, so this is a great pose for some of us, not great for some of us. So the option here is always figure four on your back, which is the same shape without some of that pressure on the knees and hips and ankles. So choose what feels like is best for you today. A lot of times something underneath the right hip can be really nice, a blanket, a block, a pillow, whatever you've got, especially if it feels like the hips are tilting way off to one side or the other. This just gives it somewhere to rest. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can fold your upper body forward, you can stack your hands. You could put pillow or the edge of a bolster up underneath your forehead. Take a moment to find what works best for you. We'll be here for a little bit, so you have some time to settle into the pose. And then once you are all propped up, supported, just do that check-in with sensation. Nice to do at the beginning of each pose. Although the sensation does change a bit, sometimes throughout the pose. And so just notice where it's at now. Are there any little adjustments you need to make for a little more support, a little less? Right? And also always know that if it becomes too much, right, adjust as we're here, back out of the pose altogether. Listen to where your body's at today. And then let your attention again shift back to your breath. It doesn't have to be anything special, anything in particular. Just notice where it's at, feel your breath so the attention can rest there. And take a moment to notice how your energy is feeling here, just this little bit through into practice. What effect a few poses have had on how you felt at the beginning of practice. Right? Maybe a lot, maybe not much at all. It's fine, just noticing. Right? Some poses by nature tend, not always, but tend to be more settling. Things like forward folds and hip openers can, right, encourage us to get a little more grounded, a little more settled. And sometimes we associate that more with the yin, with finding the quieter place. Right. That being said, sometimes if those poses bring up a lot of sensation, they don't always feel as yin, as soft. But that is our intention today, that within the yin part of the practice, to really carve out the yin poses. The places that can help us to bring about a little rest, a little ease. And maybe just bring the attention away from a busy mind or a busy day for this little bit of time. On the flip side of that, right, things like back bends and sun salutations, standing poses can be a little bit more heating and dynamic and help to cultivate a little bit more energy. And so we'll use that later on in the practice. Good. Let's just do a few more breaths here. And you're just going to ease your way out. If you've got support underneath your right hip, you can set it off to the side. You can either come to tabletop if that would feel good, make some circles, or down dog, pedal your legs, whenever a little bit of movement feels good in between without overdoing. And then when you're ready to switch sides, so left knee behind left wrist. And your heel's either going to move in towards your pubic bone or maybe come a little bit more parallel to the front of your mat. That really just depends on range of motion. Okay, see what feels good if you want support underneath your left hip on this side, or figure four. You might take a different variation side to side. And then just let your upper body fold forward when you're ready. Support your head. And then let the effort go. Check in with sensation here. And then bring attention back to breath. For me, practices like this help me start to figure out what my body needs in certain situations. Right? Sometimes when I'm tired, that the the desire really is just to go for like a yin and restorative because it feels so restful. And that might be what you need some days. But sometimes when we're tired, we want to actually build a little bit of heat. Right? Doesn't mean we have to do a crazy hot, fast practice. This means starting to get moving in ways that build energy. Right? And sometimes when we're feeling energetic, we have the energy, right? We have the strength for that. Sometimes we feel like that, but we need to get a little bit more grounded. Right? So what we need from our practice might just be really different day to day. And figuring out how to be a little bit more discerning about what we need, how to find that balance between rest, the yin side, and movement and energy and heat, which is the yang side. How do we balance out how we feel with what we get from our practice? In these last few moments in the pose, just see if there's anything that can settle in a little bit more. And kind of the layers of letting go, of release. And then just take a few more breaths on this side. As you're ready, unwind. Make your way back to down dog. If you want to come through tabletop, that's fine. But just eventually find your way there. And again, you could take some big pedals out of your knee, one side and then the other, or some circles with your hip. And then when you're ready, just nice and slow, walk your feet up towards your hands, come to the front end of your mat. And take your feet at least hip width distance, which would be like two fists in between. Or you might even come just a little bit wider. That might feel more stable. Right? You can feel free to take a little or a big bend in your knees here. See what works best along the back side of the body. And then go ahead, grab opposite elbows like ragdoll. Right? I should always say, Right? Sometimes that feels like past the amount of sensation where you want to be, and hands to blocks can be another really nice way to support this pose. So just see what you need, what would feel good for support here. Right? You might keep your knees with that generous bend the whole shape. You might work towards straighter legs. Either way, it's fine. But go ahead, just really feel the ground beneath your feet so you can feel connected. Feel like your legs are really supporting you. But again, that there's not a lot of effort, right? That we rely a little bit more on the bones, the shape to hold the pose than muscle effort. And then really let your upper body get heavy and soft, especially through your head. The weight of our head can provide some really nice traction in this pose. Good. Notice sensation. And then bring your attention back to breath. And just notice what your thoughts are doing here. As we work to keep drawing the attention somewhere else, is it starting to quiet a little bit? Does that still feel a bit challenging? Right? Often it does. It's just part of the practice. And then, like we've been doing in these last few moments here, just see if there's any effort you can release. Sometimes the legs are still really trying to work, or you're trying to hold the head somewhere. Just notice. This will be the last of our yin poses before we start to move a little bit more with breath. So enjoy the softness, that last little bit of release of effort here. And then go ahead, take a few more breaths. And then just bend your knees enough that you can get your hands down to your mat, or you can stay on your blocks if that feels good. And then go ahead, start to strengthen the legs a bit so you can press down into your feet. Right? Feel like you're squeezing the muscle back into the bone so there's a lot of support. Then bring your hands to your hips, and with your inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, bring your hands together at your heart. Right, with strong legs, lift your heart up to your hands. Draw your shoulder blades back and down. Right, so we start to now bring in a little bit more of that muscular effort. And then we'll just begin by moving with breath, starting to wake the body up from that quieter place. Right, but your breath sets the rhythm for your pace. Might be a little different from mine. So moving with breath doesn't mean we have to hurry. It means we can lengthen out the breath and match that there. So take a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, reach both arms up overhead. And then with your exhale, keep your spine long, hinge and fold forward at your waist. Again, you can bend knees if that feels better. With your inhale, lift your spine halfway, so lengthen forward. You can keep hands to mat, bring shins or even thighs. Think about this like an L shape with your body. Exhale, fold back in. Right, keep legs strong. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Just start to match the breath and the movement. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold forward. Then lift your spine halfway, so parallel to the ground, or approximately. Exhale, fold. It's not always just perfect, but just the idea of that. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. And then we'll just start adding on. Reach up, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. All right, lift halfway, parallel spine to the ground. Exhale, fold, both hands down, step back to high plank pose, top of a push-up position. Stack your shoulders over your wrists, hips in line with your shoulders, and you can keep knees up or knees down to the mat for support. Take a breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way down to your elbows or lower all the way down to your belly. Point your elbows straight back. Okay, cobra pose. Inhale, lift up your head, chest, and shoulders. Elbows still point back. Tops of your feet press down. Exhale, all the way down. Stretch up and back, downward facing dog. Right, nice big V shape with your body. Anchor through your hands and your feet. And then really press down through all your fingertips. Traction your hands down and forward. Send your hips up and back. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, lift to your toes. Bend your knees, look forward. Walk, step, or hop front of your mat. Lift halfway, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. All right, keep going with breath. Reach up, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift. And fold, plant hands, step back, plank. So I'm just one full breath in plank. And with your exhale, lower all the way down. Bent knees or straight legs, right? Bent knees for support are really nice. Inhale, lift up your head, chest, and shoulders. Just a little back bend to start. Exhale, lower down. Stretch back, down dog. And take 2 full breaths, just steady. Inhale to toes. Exhale, bend your knees, look between your hands, walk, step, or hop, feet to hands, front of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to heart. Okay, we'll keep adding on. Reach up, inhale. Bend your knees, sit back, chair pose, exhale. Right, settle the weight back to your heels. And as the hips sink low, keep your heart lifting. Good, next inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Lift halfway, lengthen your spine, take a breath in. Exhale, fold, step your left foot back. Bring your left knee down to your mat. And then inhale, bring both arms up overhead, Anjaneyasana. Right, give a little squeeze of your inner leg so it feels stable to center. And you can start with your hips stacked right over your right knee. Reach up through your arms. Lift and tone through your belly. Really nice to support your back bends. Okay, full breath in. And then as you exhale, cactus your arms and maybe let your hips come forward just a little bit. Listen to your body. Inhale, back your hips out. Stack them over your knee. Reach your arms up. Good. Exhale, hips forward. Cactus your arms. Squeeze your shoulder blades back. Inhale, hips back. Reach arms. Good. Right, hips might come forward just an inch. They might come forward a few inches. Depends on your body as you cactus your arms. Inhale, both arms up. Exhale, hands down to your mat. Lift your back knee, step back plank. Full breath in. Exhale, lower all the way down. This time, take your arms out wide, so they'll probably come off of your mat. Come up onto your fingertips. You'll stack your elbows right over your wrists. Press the tops of your feet down. Lift and tone your low belly. Take a breath out. And then inhale, lift up through head, chest, arms. So just this nice wide variation on Cobra. Exhale, back down to your mat. Inhale, lift up, upper body. Right, might be a little higher. Really just depends on your body, your back bend today. Exhale, lower. Keep your legs strong and grounded. Inhale to help lift up through your upper body. Exhale, lower down. Bring your hands by your ribs, tuck your toes, and then stretch all the way back, downward facing dog. Take a full breath in, full breath out. Inhale, reach your left leg up behind you. Keep it straight and strong. Exhale, step your foot all the way through. And sometimes you have to grab your ankle, help it along. Bring your right knee down to your mat. Inhale, both arms up. Right, so hips stacked over your left knee. Hug your legs into center, right? Squeezing in and tone your belly. Inhale here. And then exhale, cactus your arms. So elbows in line with shoulders. Maybe the hips come forward an inch or two or a few. And then back out, inhale, hips stack, reach arms. Exhale, hips forward, cactus arms, right? Think shoulder blades together and down your back. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, cactus and hips forward. We're getting some opening through the front of the hip flexors. Reach up, inhale. And then cactus, hips forward, exhale. Good, just moving with your breath. Inhale. Exhale, both hands down. Lift your back knee. Take a big step forward. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Okay, same idea, different variations. Reach up, inhale. Bend your knees, sit back, chair pose, exhale. Right, send the weight down and back to your heels. Inhale here, lift up through your chest as you keep your hips low. And then exhale, just sweep your arms back, turn your palms down, open your chest. Keep your hips low. Inhale, reach arms forward. Exhale, sweep arms back. Squeeze shoulder blades together, open your chest. Inhale, arms up and forward. Exhale, sweep back. This time on your inhale, stand all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Your breath, your rhythm, lift halfway, inhale. Fold, exhale, step your right foot back. All right, this time, if it works, keep the back knee lifted. Want a little bit more support, bring it down. Inhale, come all the way up, crescent lunge. Exhale, bend into your front knee. All right, so it's just gonna stay stacked over your ankle or a little bit behind, but not coming forward. Do that same, squeeze your legs into center. Take a breath and reach your arms up. And then exhale, take your hands behind you, interlace your fingers. I think it's nice here to have a good bend in the elbows. Then you can traction the elbows apart, reach your knuckles down and lift your chest, right? So for some of us, upper body is still gonna be fairly upright, right? You may also start to lean back a little bit, lift your chest up, and take your gaze up slightly without throwing your head back, right? So just a little lift of the chin. Good, strong legs. Keep the breath steady even as we hold, and just fine tune the pose. Good. Next, inhale, reach both arms up. Exhale, hands down, step back, high plank. Inhale here. Exhale, lower all the way down. Okay, take your hands out wide again. Come up onto fingertips. Stack your elbows over your wrists. Press the tops of your feet down and lift and tone your low belly. Inhale, lift up through head, chest, and shoulders. This time, dip your right shoulder over to the left. Inhale, come back to center. So it's a little twist through the upper body. Exhale, left shoulder across. To center, inhale. One more time each side. Right shoulder across. Keep the tops of your feet pressing down. Inhale, center. Exhale, left shoulder across. Good. Through center, inhale. Lower all the way down, exhale. Press back, down dog. Full breath in. Full breath out. Inhale, right leg up and back. Exhale, step your foot through. You might grab the ankle, help it along. So even here you can see knee over ankle, so this is not forward. And with strong legs, inhale, come all the way up. And settle down into your front knee. Make your inner leg strong. And if balance is feeling a little wonky, step your feet wider side to side. Okay, inhale, reach your arms up. And then exhale, interlace your hands behind you. Take the opposite clasp, right? So other finger on top, the one that's going to feel a little bit weird. A little bend in your elbows. And then keep your hands together, but feel like you could pull your elbows apart. And then stretch your knuckles down and back towards your back heel. Keep your belly lifted. And then either right, you stay pretty upright, still big back bend shoulder opener. Or start to lift your heart a little bit, lean back, look slightly up. Or like maybe you're looking at where the wall meets the ceiling. Inhale, release both arms up. Exhale, hands down, big step forward, front of your mat. Halfway lift, inhale. Fold, exhale. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands together at your heart. Okay, one more round like that, a little different variation. Sweep up, inhale. Fold forward, exhale. Halfway lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold. Step your left foot back, but a little bit shorter stance. So you want to get the back heel down. And then turn your back toes out to the left, just a couple inches. Good. Inhale, come all the way up, warrior one. Right, so different from that crescent lunge that we were just in that the back heel's all the way down. And then you're going to invite the right hip to come back a little bit more. So you're working towards, hips towards the front of the mat again. Okay, reach both arms up overhead, inhale. And then interlace your fingers, but release your index finger. So for some of us here, the elbows might stay bent. That's a better place for the shoulders. Right? Or you might start to straighten your arms, squeeze your upper arms by your ears. Same ideas with your legs. Squeeze your legs to center. Press down into your feet and lift your belly. Right? And then just like that lunge, you stay pretty upright, where you can start to lean back a little bit. Sometimes I think about this as like leading with the upper arms, coming back, 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 as the chest lifts up. Reach up through your fingertips. Take a breath in. And then exhale, hands down to your mat. Step back plank. Inhale, high plank. Exhale, lower all the way down. Okay, this time's arms back by your side. Turn your palms down. Right, full breath out. Lift and tone your belly. Inhale, lift up your head, chest, arms. This time float, fingertips reach back. Exhale, lower down. If you'd like, this time add the legs as well. Inhale, lift up, head, chest, arms, legs. Exhale, lower. Float up one more time. Inhale. Lower down, exhale. And hands back by your ribs. Stretch back, down dog. Full breath. Okay, inhale, left leg up. Exhale, step through. And then step your right foot in just about a footprint so you can get your whole right heel down. And then turn your right toes out about a 45-degree angle to the right. Inhale, come all the way up, warrior one. Right, so when you interlace your hands this time, again, do the opposite clasp, just nice for balance. Release your index fingers. Right, elbows a little bent or starting to straighten. Squeeze your legs towards one another. And see if you can draw the outer left hip back a little bit. And then press down, especially through your back heel. Make sure that's connected. If that's challenging, shorten the stance in towards center, right? So legs a little bit closer. Right, and then with that, strengthen your legs, reach up through your arms. Start to bring your upper arms back and starting to find the right amount of back bend for you As we're working through this whole series, you may start to find a little bit more range of motion. You may not, and that's fine. You stop where your body is. Good. Another full breath in. And then exhale, hands down. This time step back, down dog. Good. Full breath in. And then with your exhale, bring your knees down to your mat, tabletop. Walk your hands back just a little bit so they're right under your shoulders. Really press down through your fingertips. And then just a couple rounds of cat-cow. So as you inhale, arch your back, look forward. And then exhale, press into your hands, round your back, draw your chin towards your chest. Good. Inhale, come forward, arch your back. So this is the back bending that we've been doing. And then this rounding gets more of the forward fold, like where we started in the yin poses. A couple times. And do one more round. And then come back to center. Let's sit back on your heels, come all the way down onto your back. You can have a block nearby, you may or may not want it. So we're set up for bridge. Bend your knees, take your feet hip width apart so that your heels are lining up with your sitting bones. And then just walk your heels in as much as it feels right for your body. Stretch your arms long by your sides. Let's actually do this variation. Bend your elbows, turn your palms to face in towards one another. I was thinking about this like robot arms. Take a full breath out, press down through your feet. And then with your inhale, lift your hips up, bridge pose. And then you can really press down through the backs of your triceps to lift your chest. Okay, exhale, lower your hips back down. Strong through your feet, inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower. Okay, one more time, we're gonna stay, inhale, lift up. So here's where if it feels like a little more support would feel good, you could slide your block underneath your hips, maybe a little more supported bridge, or stay here. All right, and then really press into your triceps, the backs of your arms, lift your chest, snuggle your shoulder blades in. And then press into your heels, like traction, like you could move them back towards your shoulders. Get the strength of your hamstrings to find that lift. If it feels like the knees are wanting to roll out, press a little bit more through the inner edge of the feet. And keep the back of your head pressing down. And lift your chest towards your chin. Full breath in. And then exhale, lower all the way down. You take your feet a little bit wider, let your knees rest together, constructive rest pose. Take a couple breaths. And then you bring your right knee into your chest, stretch your left leg long, and take your right knee across your body to twist. So we're going to end where we began in the supine twist, right arm out to the side. Not as long, we'll just stay for a couple breaths. Right, but take a moment to check in. Notice if energy has shifted at all in the second part of the practice, right? Or how it feels just from overall from the beginning of practice. And back to center. Both knees in. And then switch sides. Keep your left knee in, stretch your right leg long, twist. Left knee over to your right, right arm out to the side. Your knee may or may not come to the ground. Favor keeping your left shoulder on the ground over your knee coming to the ground. Right, so what I mean by that is sometimes the knee will come all the way across but the shoulder lifts. Favor shoulder down. Couple breaths. Inhale, come on back to center. Hug both knees into your chest. Take a little rock. And then hug your thighs in, curl your forehead up to your knees. Take a big breath in. And then exhale, release Shavasana, final resting pose. So you could always slide support underneath your knees. That's a nice variation. You could do this constructive rest that we were in a few moments ago, knees bent, knees together. Just find a place where it feels like you can settle in and rest. Let your eyes close. Or again, just let eyelids get soft and heavy. And then let go of any effort with your breath. Let's see if you can keep your attention there as we rest these last few moments. Take some deeper breaths. And then with your next inhale, reach your arms up overhead. Take a full stretch. And as you exhale, draw your knees towards your chest. Roll to your side. And press yourself all the way back up to sitting. Bring hands together at your heart. Sit tall. Right. Thank yourself for taking the time to practice, for working to find that balance in your day. And thank you so much for sharing the practice with me. Namaste.